on your next act. Your next worldwide trip takes you to Scotland, the only country that hates the English more than the Asians do. So would you please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Matt Chalmers!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for that lovely, warm welcome. My name is Matthew. I come from Glasgow in Scotland, and that is why it's necessary for me to start things off very slowly. I know it's sometimes difficult to tell this with me, given the incredible energy and charisma I exude with a microphone. But I am bursting with excitement to be here tonight. It's such a privilege to be able to do such an incredible stage. This is the biggest stage I've ever done in my life. And I woke up this morning with this feeling in my body that told me that this was a very important day for me. And if you're interested, the feeling is unrelenting, crippling anxiety. And it's lived here for most of the day, and it's only just starting to go away right now. So this morning I did my kind of pre-performance routine, which is a mixture of going for a walk, pacing back and forward, hyperventilating and trying not to piss myself. And I was on my way back from my walk, and I planned to do this later in the day anyway. But I saw there was no queue at the barber shop, so I thought, fuck it, I'll just go and get my hair done now. Why is that funny? Bald people still have to go and get their hair done. Right, you don't just wake up one day with a really shiny, slippery head and slide off your pillow. You guys don't know, man. In fairness, you do, to be honest. I think you might be able to tell that I'm not absolutely over the moon with the fact that I'm bald now. This was never the plan for me. But the thing is, I kind of believe in God, right? And I believe that God makes every single tiny little thing happen for a reason, which is another way of saying he did this to me on purpose. And if that's the case, my God has got a wonderful sense of humour. Because my God has blessed me with hair in unnecessary quantities. In every conceivable location on my body, right? Apart from the one place that I actually want it. It's kind of frustrating. Anyway, I got to the barber shop, I looked through the window, and I noticed the thing about Singapore that I absolutely hate the most. And can you feel the tension in the room just shift there a wee bit? Because you guys didn't mind me about 9 seconds ago, and now every single local audience member is just looking at me going, tread carefully. Chi-bye. And if you don't know the word chi-bye, it's the Singaporean way of saying the C word. It's C-U-N-T. It's not a very nice word. I typically don't use it to get a joke out, but to be fair, I thought doing it in a second language was a wee bit more intelligent. And it's funny, chi-bye is a wonderful word. I enjoy it. It really reminds me of my grandmother. Because my grandmother was an old Scottish lady, and she was a wee bit cuckoo. But I've heard lots of old Scottish people say this word. They've combined the words cheerio and goodbye to come up with cheery bye. She used to say, cheery bye, son, see you next week, cheery bye. So I never thought about it much, and I moved to Singapore, and I didn't know the word chi-bye, but I was walking, I think I might just say the word chi-bye all night, you guys love it. I was walking down the road, and I turned left, and I bumped quite heavily into this young man who was clearly on his way back from doing his national service. And I knew this because he was clad from head to toe in this black and white kind of urban camouflage material suit thing. And I'm not pretending that what I said to him was revolutionary comedy, right? But it came right off the cuff, so it was a wee bit funny. I said, mate, I'm terribly sorry, I genuinely didn't see you there. Right? Right? Now, if this wee guy had been Scottish, English, Irish, Afghanistani, anywhere else, right, we would have had a wee laugh, exchanged phone numbers, and become friends for life, right? Because it was quite funny. The Singaporean boy looked at me as if I'd just walked into his home and slapped his mum, right? He looked me square in the face and just said, "Chibai," and walked away. Right? And I was like, "Oh, mate, chiribai to you too." I wonder if my granny knew they said chibai in Singapore as well. Anyway, so the thing I hate the most about Singapore is it's when you see old people, and that's not the end of the sentence. It's when you see old people who are still working well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. And they're clearly not doing it because they want to, they're doing it because they need to, and it makes me very sad. However, Singapore, you do have a very low crime rate, which is good, because if you didn't, let's be honest, most of your security guards would be able to do fuck all about it. Why are they all so old? I went into DBS Bank the other day, right? The security guard was about 90 years old. He was called Jack, standing up, sleeping, right? What the fuck's Jack gonna do in the event of a bank robbery? Right? This old duffer could barely fight off a stiff breeze, man. Working until you're 80 cannot be good for you, right? And you see, when you work till you're 80 and you work in the barber shop, it's not good for anybody. Right? I walked in, I sat down, I acknowledged the fact that the stylist, and I use that word loosely, was about 80 years old, right? And the kind part of my brain went, right, Matthew, don't be ageist. Potentially this old man is very skilled and experienced at cutting hair. And whilst that might have been true, it didn't matter, because this old guy had clearly given up on this job years ago. He didn't give a shit. He wasn't even aiming at the customer, right? He was just chatting to his mate over his left shoulder whilst indiscriminately jabbing this little boy in the back of the head with clippers. And I thought, no, I'm not handling this, right? I'm out of here. This old man was so bad at cutting hair, I genuinely thought he might fuck mine up. So I did what any normal self-respecting man would do. I got up and ran away. And I decided to get myself to Raffles Place MRT. Because that's the best place you can go to get your hair cut, by the way. Because there's 2 places in the basement that you can get it done. And it doesn't matter which one you choose, because they both have exactly the same unique selling point. You've got the EC House, and you've got KC Cuts, right? And both of these places prioritize value and efficiency over style. Right? Now, KC Cuts is my favorite one, right? Because they do not overpromise. But they often underdeliver. Right, so I just love how honest they are. You get to KC Cuts, it says it on the window. It says, this haircut will cost you $12. And this haircut will take a maximum of 10 minutes. And because of the time constraint, there's only a certain amount of styles that we will do. And underneath this is just a picture of the styles that they will do. And it's just a picture of 8 of the shittest haircuts you could possibly imagine. Mine's number 1, incidentally. And I'm all right with that. So I go in and I'm met by this kind of 19-year-old Chinese Singaporean hipster hairdresser guy who's cut my hair several times in the past. And I tried to go to pay, and he reminds me very quickly that KC Cuts is the hairdressing establishment that time has forgotten. Because despite the fact I'm standing in the middle of the central business district of one of the most technologically advanced countries on the planet, this young man tells me, I'm sorry, sir, your debit card doesn't work here. We only take cash. Wasn't really an attempt at a punchline there, folks. I just think that's fucking mental, right? I was in Malaysia 2 weeks ago. I was in Malaysia and I paid for a haircut with my smartwatch, right? Where the fuck are we if we can't keep up with Malaysia? Right? No, don't. I'm sorry, that's a really, really cheap joke about Malaysia. I love Malaysia. I'm just a bit angry with them because, as you can see, I did not return from Malaysia with my smartwatch. Fucking Malaysia. Anyway, the guy sits me down, and this guy's cut my hair several times before. It's quite clear what I want, given that my hair's about 3 millimeters longer than it is right now, right? But for some reason, he can't skip any steps in his training. So he has to point up at the menu of shit haircuts and go, mate, which one do you want? I'm like, well, mate, unless you've recently become particularly skilled with hair extensions, gonna just shave my head again? And he does, to be fair. It takes him all of 3 minutes. I've got 7 minutes to play with here. But there's still plenty that can happen, because two things happen at the end of a haircut when you're a bald man, right? One of them's funny, one of them's pointless. The pointless one is when the guy who has just shaved every visible hair off your head, thus leaving you bald, feels the need to stand behind you with a handheld mirror and show you exactly how bald you are from every conceivable angle. And I really don't know what he does that for, right? As if I've just missed something all these years and I'm going to turn around and go, fuck me, mate, I didn't even know I had a ponytail. But the funny thing that happens at the end of a haircut is only really funny in this particularly niche context, so please pay attention. You've got a 35-year-old hairy Scottish man getting his hair cut by a 19-year-old Chinese Singaporean hipster boy. Now, I do not spend much of my day wondering about the body hair situation of a 19-year-old Chinese Singaporean hipster boy, but I'd imagine that he and I have different expectations of where hair starts and stops growing, right? I'm pretty sure he thinks that hair starts growing on your head, stops at your neck, avoids your face at all costs, stops for a bit, starts again, stops. He is not aware that for a hairy Scottish man, hair starts growing at the end of your toes. It grows all the way up the front and all the way up the back. Stops at your neck for a rest. Decides your face is fine, but fuck your head. Right? So when he goes to do my neckline, which is the end of any haircut, right, he starts pulling at my shirt. Right? He's expecting the hair to stop. But the hair doesn't stop. So he keeps pulling, right? And if he pulls any harder, I'm about to be shirtless, right? And then our eyes meet in the middle of the mirror, and he's just looking at me like, what the fuck even are you? The first time this happened, this week I had to go and get his supervisor and have a sit down, right? And then all the other stylists came over and looked at me as if I was some sort of medical experiment. And I was very upset by this, I really was. I thought this was a terrible way to treat your customers. But the good thing about me is I made a good decision last year in my life, right? I decided to stop drinking alcohol after a very successful career. And what I've found is I'm much more calm and I'm much less emotional, so I just kind of get on with things. And I'd love to talk to you more about that, but I think it'd end up being a TED Talk, if I'm honest, right? But I control what I can control, and I don't let other things wind me up, right? So I got up, I walked up to the guy, I said, mate, thank you very much for cutting my hair. Cheery bye. Guys, you've just made me very happy. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Chalmers, everybody.